Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel joins me. Nice to see you, Ronna.
To be with you. Thanks for having me.
Ronna, so with the news about President Trump getting a new trial date, and now right around the corner is your first RNC debate on the Fox News channel in August. Do you expect him to be participating?
I think he's going to keep everybody guessing until the very end. Right now, I know many of his advisors are saying if you have a lead in the polls, you shouldn't go on the debate stage. He said that publicly. I'll tell you one thing, Greta, I hope he goes on the stage. I think we should all be hopeful that we have a robust debate that outlines what Republicans are looking to do to save our country versus the disaster of Joe Biden with an open border, with crime surging, with kids far behind in education. I think this is a great opportunity to take that message to millions of Americans.
All right, let me peel back the curtain a little bit. Fox News Channel is the first one, and I spent many wonderful years there. You gave Fox Business Channel the second one. You overstepped us at Newsmax, and I'm curious, what went into that decision-making?
We haven't announced the second one yet, so there's nothing official on the second one except for that it's at the Reagan Library. So, and there's been no announcements.
So we're still in the running?
Are we
still in the running?
Everybody, yes.
That's good.
Newsmax is still in the running. We're just, playing it slow right now and watching the process. And we're really excited for this first one in Milwaukee, which is the host city, and the RNC members will be there. And I hope that everybody who qualifies, including President Trump, is on the debate stage.
What's my old stomping grounds, Wisconsin? All right. Have any of the current qualifiers signed the pledge yet?
So the pledge is not something you have to sign until you meet the first two criteria. So the first criteria is 1% in 3 national polls, which I don't think is a crazy threshold that we should expect from anyone running for president. And then 40,000 unique small dollar donations to your campaign. So once you reach those 2 thresholds, which we'll know 48 hours out, so they have 48 hours before the debate, then the pledge will come into play. But I expect everyone to sign a pledge that says our pledge is to beat Joe Biden and support the will of the voters.
Well, there's some who are already bragging that they've met the threshold, but so far they haven't. I mean, it's from what you say, it has to be 48 hours out, so they don't just sign it now until then, right?
No. Yeah, not until you make those first 2 criteria.
All right. The criteria that you have for making the debate stage, is it identical to what you had in 2016, or is it, if it changed at all?
It's a little different. So in 2016, there was no small dollar fundraising component. The Democrats did this in 2020. They had a 65,000 small dollar fundraising component. We just think this is a building block to a successful campaign. If you are not able to attract 40,000 people to at least give $1 to your campaign, you're not going to be able to build an operation that will defeat Joe Biden. So this is something we think is critical to success for our future nominee. And then 1% in 3 national polls is pretty in line with what we had in the 2016 election.
In terms of how these debates are done, whether they're, how many minutes people get to speak, whether they have opening statements, all those details. Who makes that decision? Because I imagine if it's like herding cats, because each campaign has sort of a wish list.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. In fact, I was looking at credentials today for the debate and the floor and how we're going to seat everybody, and then the green rooms and who's allowed in the green rooms. And I imagine it'll get more chaotic as we get closer. But really, Greta, what we do want is the optimum amount of time for these candidates to shine. We don't want it to be about the moderator. We want it to be about the candidates and them being able to speak directly to Republican primary voters as to why they deserve that nomination. And that is the first and foremost goal of these debates.
Is there any thought about changing the format? Because the format, historically, both parties has been rather. It's almost, sometimes it's a little bit, not to be disrespectful, but a little game show-ish. You got 30 seconds to answer. How you're going to solve the problem with North Korea nuclear weapons. It's a little bit tough in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one to answer in 30 seconds. I do think by putting this criteria in place, we will maybe have some candidates who've announced that won't be able to make the debate stage. And part of the rationale behind that is we don't want to exclude anybody, but we also really want legitimate candidates for president on that stage. We don't want somebody running for book deals or media contracts or cabinet positions. So I do think by having a smaller stage with candidates who've met these thresholds, you are going to allow more time for substantive answers and substantive debate. It'll be a 90-minute debate. We really want those candidates to have as much time to discuss in-depth big issues like the border, like crime, like Ukraine, like all the things that so many of the American people want to hear from these candidates.
All right. Well, if you have free time, and I don't think you do, Google my name and debate. Because a few years ago, I have suggested a novel way to do it, which was to give them the questions in advance, because I figured they're going to be, when you're in the Oval Office, you're going to consult with your staff beforehand. So I think they should get the questions in advance. But anyway, that's just me. Ronna, nice to have you back. And you like that one anyway. Nice to have you back, and I hope to see you in Milwaukee. I hope to watch it. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Greta. Thanks for having me.